So, to be like a conjurer, a magician, means that during the post-meditative session or in all your activities, you should do whatever you're doing with awareness. So that's the meaning. Okay, full alertness and awareness. You should not be just going, your life around like a zombie, not much awareness, That's the problem. Most of the time we have not much awareness. And to be fully conscious and aware of what you are doing is very, very important. There is a story during Nagarjuna's time. There was a thief who one day saw Nagarjuna and he was very, very impressed. He is a very magnificent person. So he went to Nagarjuna and said that I'm quite impressed by you. So except one thing, I will do whatever you say. That one thing is because I'm a thief, I cannot stop stealing. I'm used with that. It's very difficult for me to stop that. So that I want to do. I cannot stop. Apart from that, whatever you say, I will do. The Nagarjuna said, I'm not asking you to not to steal. Do whatever you like. Do whatever you like. But since you asked me to tell you one thing, so I'll tell you one thing. That although I am not thief, I am not stealing, but I am not asking you not to steal. Okay? But you do one thing, as you asked me to do, say something. Even when you are stealing, or whatever else you are doing, you do that with full awareness. With full awareness. So the thief felt, well, this is quite simple. No problem. But next time he went to steal from the king's palace, he reached the treasure house. Diamonds and golds, whatever, they were all lying there. He could, by stealing those things, become rich for the rest of his life. But then he remembered Nagarjuna's instruction that even when you steal with full awareness. So he tried to maintain that awareness what he is doing. Of course he realized that he is stealing gold and things like that, and what is lying before him is gold and things like that. But with full awareness, he did not see much difference between these gems, gold, silver, diamond and so forth, and the stones lying outside on the road. With awareness, he did not see any difference. You see? When the awareness is not there, then the gold becomes important, diamond becomes important. But when there is awareness, it was like the stones lying on the road. So just by maintaining awareness, he stopped stealing. And then he went back to Nagarjuna and said, you played a trick on me. You played a trick on me. This is what happened. I said, it's up to you. I'm not stealing. I just simply told you to maintain awareness, and then whatever be the outcome, that's not my responsibility. You see? So therefore in our life, it's really, really important to be fully alert and aware. If you're fully alert and aware, you will enjoy life. You will enjoy life. Like for example, when you're eating, You should be fully aware of what you are eating. Taste it. Chew it nicely. You will find it so delicious. When you do it, you will be able to digest it better. But most of the time when we are eating, we are thinking about something else. We are listening to Dharma teaching, we are physically sitting there, but the mind may be in New York. So we are not there where we should be. So the problem with us is that most of the time we are not in the home. Most of the time we are not in the home. That means the mind is not there. So somebody must be in the home to look after yourself. So that somebody means your awareness, your presence of the mind must be there inside you all the time. If you have that, then you will do everything properly and correctly. If you don't have that, then how can you enjoy what you see, because there's nobody in the home? Your eyes see something, but you cannot enjoy because there's no enjoyer. There's no awareness. When you're eating something, you cannot taste it properly because there's no awareness. So therefore, maintaining that presence, awareness, is very, very important. It is in this way you can really enjoy each and every minute of your life. But if you don't have that, now you are here, you are thinking about tomorrow. When tomorrow comes, you are thinking about day after tomorrow. Or you are thinking about what happened in the past, long past. I mean, the past is gone. Why you are thinking so much about that? It was a dream. Why you are thinking so much about the dream? So most of the time we are either thinking about the past or about the future, not able to enjoy the present. So live in the present. If you live in the present, you will be able to take care of the future automatically. The past is something more or less dead. It is gone. We can learn something from the experiences. Apart from that, there is no use. There are some people who always think about what happened in the past. For example, if something very unpleasant thing happened, then they keep on brooding, thinking over that. It has happened in the past, but still you are suffering. It doesn't make any sense. That's gone. That's a dream. You see? So now every day you have a fresh life. So enjoy that. Be in the present, okay? So full awareness is very, very important. So do not behave as if you have no thinking or no mind, You're led around by everybody according to their wish, and you have no choice. Don't lead a life like that. So that's what he's saying when he talks about maintaining awareness during the post-meditative period. So you should act with awareness and act with mindfulness, and whatever comes within the focus of the senses, you should immediately be able to see them as another dream, another illusion. Now, like an illusion, like in a dream, does not mean that you cannot enjoy. Even in the dream, you enjoy. Even in the dream, you suffer. Okay? But the point is, since it is a dream, it is not worthwhile to develop too much grasping over it. That's what I am saying. So in all your physical, verbal, mental activities, the influence of what you have learned during the meditative state must be there. So the next is meditation on the conventional bodhicitta, the practice of exchanging oneself for others. Shantideva in his Bodhicharya Avatara says, those who wants to quickly protect oneself and others, one should undertake this secret practice, sublime secret practice of exchanging oneself for others. And if you don't practice this exchange of one's happiness with the sufferings of others, not only you will not achieve Buddhahood, but you will also not have peace and happiness in the samsara. So therefore, in order to dispel your harms and the sufferings of others, you should give yourself to others and protect others as if they are you, as if they are you. Now that means right now we care primarily about oneself. I, me, mine all the time, as I explained yesterday. I, me, mine all the time. And because of this obsession with I, me and mine, we get fear, depression, loneliness, disappointment and so forth. Our main practice was self-cherishing attitude so far. So now exchanging this practice means so far we have been thinking only about oneself and forgetting the well-being of others. Now exchange this practice by thinking more about others than about yourself. That's called exchanging. Is it possible to do that practice? It may not be easy because first of all people will say, who am I to think about others? They will do their business. That comes in our mind, especially in an individualistic society where we are trained to fight for one's right, take care of the individual. We might think that I care about myself, they will care about themselves. Who am I to look after them? We get that kind of feeling. Okay? But you have already said that you want that long-lasting peace and happiness. If that is what you want, then the only way to have that long-lasting peace and happiness is to care more about others than you care about yourself. That's the only way. There's no other way. All the shortcomings, all the downfalls, all the miseries and sufferings that we have today in the world, they are a result of egoism. They are a result of only thinking about oneself and forgetting others. Do you think this is true? Because everybody thinks about oneself, nobody thinks about the common goodness, or hardly anybody thinks about the common goodness. Now, even in the family, if the father thinks only about himself, not about the wife or the children, the wife thinks only about herself and not about the children and husband, how can the family have harmony and happiness and peace? So similarly, in the wider circle also, the more we only think about oneself and forget the rest, it will be impossible to get that long-lasting peace and happiness that we desire. Okay, so therefore in Buddhism, this altruistic attitude or bodhicitta is seen as the most supreme best mind. So therefore we are talking about cultivating that conventional bodhicitta, where you aspire to become a Buddha for the benefit of all suffering sentient beings. Where you aspire to become a Buddha for the benefit of all sentient beings. Where you call all other sentient beings as your mother sentient beings. It makes perfect sense because one, they might have been your mother, brother, sister and so forth in past many lives. You have no idea how many lives you have already taken. Number two, even in this life, all the things that you have at your disposal as facilities, as enjoyments, they all come from others. They all come from others. Clear? They all come from others. Of course, again your negative mind will say, so what? So what? I got this because I paid. Nobody gave it free to me. I got it because I paid for it. That's the wrong way of thinking. Even if you have money, if there's no supply of grains, bread or whatever, what will you do with the money? Will you eat money? See? So our very survival is very much dependent upon others. So therefore we should be grateful to everybody. Regard them as our mothers. Of course you will say, yeah, I got the benefit, but they have no wish to benefit me. But that is irrelevant. Whether they have a wish to benefit you or not is irrelevant. For example, this text, we call it holy text. Okay? And we respect it. But do you think this holy text has a motivation to benefit you? Huh? The text has no motivation to benefit you. But because you are benefited, therefore you respect it. Therefore respect it. So therefore it is really not so much about whether somebody has this wish to help you or not, but since you are helped, you got the benefit, therefore you should be thankful to everybody. Okay? And because of this very closely interdependent world of us today, we cannot survive without being depending upon others, without being cared by others. Okay? So therefore, the best way of repaying their kindness is to remember them as your mother, or father, because some people may have bad experience with mother or father, So whoever is kind, So normally mother is a good example. How much the mother takes care of the child since from the birth, lot of hard work, lot of selfless service. So remember the rest of the sentient beings as your mother, and then think about, it's not enough to remember them as your mother, but think about repaying their kindness. Now, how can you repay their kindness? Just by giving some money? That's okay, but that is not the best way. The best way is, we'll read later. Okay? So in this case of the practice of cultivation of conventional bodhicitta, also this is done in two ways. One practice is done during the meditative state, and the second is during the post-meditative state. Now the text talks about how to do the practice. So there are some differences with the root text, but the actual practice, training in the conventional awakening mind, banish the one to blame for everything. So in my Tibetan text it comes a little bit later, but anyway we can start explaining it. Banish the one to blame for everything. Who is to blame for everything? Banish the one. Get rid of that one. Huh? Self-cherishing. Here in this case, self-cherishing attitude. Self-cherishing, as I explained earlier, do not misunderstand this. Self-cherishing means thinking just about oneself and completely ignoring the well-being of others. It does not mean to say that you don't take care of yourself. Because yesterday I said, take care. Okay, take care. So banish the one to blame for everything. So if this self-cherishing attitude where you think just about yourself and completely neglect and ignore the well-being of others, so that should be blamed and that should be banished. That should be kicked out from the headquarters of your mind. Okay? banish the one to blame for everything. And meditate on the great kindness of all sentient beings, as I already explained. Okay, I don't need to explain this one. You know all this. Practice a combination of giving and taking. So therefore, in this practice of conventional bodhicitta, during the meditative stage, you do a combined practice of giving and taking. That means having seated on the comfortable meditation seat, you should imagine the kind mother sentient beings in front of yourself, and then first meditate on loving kindness towards them. Loving kindness means thinking, how nice if all these mother sentient beings meet with happiness. Then meditate on compassion, which thinks, how nice if all these sentient beings are without suffering. Compassion says, loving kindness says, how nice if they all meet with happiness. Compassion says, how nice if they're all without suffering. Clear? Okay? So first meditate on loving kindness and then compassion. And then you should think the actual reality, that this mother, right from the beginning of my coming into this world, she has been kind because she had given me this precious human life. And not only she had given me this precious human life, but she also ensured not to ruin this life. She protected this life. How much a mother works to protect the life of a helpless baby. After the birth of the baby is so helpless that the baby is even not able to lift his or her head for 6 months. You see, not like other animal. The babies of other animal, they after few short time they all move and go quickly. You see. But human beings take 6 months to be able to lift the head. Okay? But the mother is always there taking care of you. Okay? And not only that, she was responsible for making me meet with good things, including Buddhist practice or whatever, good things. And she tried her best, according to her knowledge, to do the best for you. She cared about you. She worried about you. She planned for your future, going to a school, university, whatever, marriage, whatever, She takes the whole responsibility. And this is not only this time, but from beginningless time when she had acted my mother, she had looked at me with a loving eye. Because the mother's way of looking at the child is different. It's real love. And with her compassion, she always cared about me and always protect me from harm and what is not beneficial. And she tried her best to bring me benefit and long-lasting peace and happiness. So therefore, you should think that my mother is really, really kind to me. My mother is an example, but any other relative, you see. Otherwise the fathers will get angry, you see. So whoever has been kind to you. I mean, in this case we are talking about all mother sentient beings. But you can take the present mother as an example because you have experience with that one. And when you think in this way, then naturally you feel so moved with her kindness that tears will come from your eyes. The hairs on your body will rise. So you meditate until to that point. But then you reflect on the actual state of the mother now. She is in the samsara. And she is in the samsara for a long time. And during all those times when she was in the samsara, she was helping me all the time. Although she herself has a lot of limitations, because somebody who is in the samsara has a lot of limitations and problems. But despite that, she always tried to help me as much as possible. And therefore she is now suffering in the samsara, suffering with all kinds of problems, difficulties. Therefore, I really feel for her. In this way, you should develop a very strong compassion, very strong compassion. And not only thinking in this way, but if you look at the reality of everybody, you see, number one, we are born to die, as I already explained. Death is imminent and it can come any time. So in that sense, we are very fragile, number one. We are fragile, and on top of that fragility, we are also experiencing a lot of sufferings day by day. We are struggling in our life. Whatever it is, we are struggling. So when you see this, naturally, you will develop some kind of concern, you see. And I had this experience one time when I was traveling with a Tibetan doctor, personal physician to His Holiness Dalai Lama, many years back. I traveled with him to all the Scandinavian countries. So when the patients came to consult the doctor, before they consulted the doctor, they all looked very nice, nicely decorated, wearing nice clothes, and also coming, in a very impressive manner. So they looked impressive. But when they sat down in front of the doctor and started the consultation, almost everybody had 3, 4, 5 different kind of illnesses. Almost everybody in front of the doctor. You see? So that is the plight of all of us. Doesn't matter how much we pretend that we are somebody, but we have all these problems, difficulties, fragility, you see. And when you see this, naturally you will develop some kind of concern, some kind of compassion, you see. It will happen. For example, when you see a very sick person or somebody who is, lying in a pool of blood, don't you develop some concern? Don't you develop some concern? Doesn't matter whether you are practitioner or not practitioner, but you develop some concern because you are able to witness the suffering of that person. You see. Similarly, even in the ordinary case, that person may not be lying in a pool of blood, but still somebody who has thought about the fragility, the impermanence, the problems and sufferings of everybody. Everybody has a suffering, everybody has a problem. So when you see this, naturally you will develop some kind of concern and compassion. So it's only a question of properly understanding the situation of all of us. When you understand that, you feel closer to that person. You feel concern for that person. You develop compassion for that person. And His Holiness the Dalai Lama says that the kind of compassion that we ordinarily develop is more or less a very superficial compassion. Because when we develop some kind of sympathy or compassion, say for a beggar, we are able to develop some kind of sympathy and compassion for the beggar, or very poor people, or neglected people. But as soon as we see somebody who is glamorous, who is a celebrity, who is a president, who is a prime minister, who is an actor, actress, who is a rich man, then we have no sign of compassion for that person. Instead, we might aspire and think, how nice if I'm also that actor. How nice if I'm that actress. And it is because of this aspiration we sometimes make a lot of effort to see that famous actor, actress, president, prime minister, to take a photo with that person. You may not be able to become the president, prime minister, but at least you want to say, see, I'm with the president. See, I'm with this famous actor, actress. And if you manage to get their signature, it's a big thing. Oh, I got his signature. See. So you have no trace of compassion for these people. because your understanding of the reality of life of everybody is